Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel, and today I'm joined by my sexy but mysterious co-host, Tanner Dykstra, and we're here to talk about a new spy thriller movie from Steven Soderbergh called Black Bag. It's got Cate Blanchett, it's got Michael Fassbender, it's got Pierce Brosnan on occasion. Kind of underplays its Pierce Brosnan.
No, a supporting role.
Sure, yes. And we're here to give you our thoughts on this movie and everything that we can discuss about this. Tanner, I'm skipping all the faff this time.
Oh, whoa.
We're skipping all the plugs. We're going straight in to Black Bag. How do you feel
That's
about
right.
Black Bag?
Tucker, I love Black Bag. Black Bag's a fucking hoot and a half. It's a great time at the movies. No, it's I was very excited for this one, especially after seeing Soderbergh and Koepp's previous collaboration earlier this year,
Yeah.
Presence. And this
Their previous
signals
2025 movies were so good. Then this
exactly. I had to be looking forward to this one, and obviously you have some great talent on hand, some of the best actors of their generation, and
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, and yeah, they are just doing. People have been comparing this to something like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but obviously
Sure.
it's going for a very different tone, a more classical, Class E kind of tone
Sure.
that really just hits the ground running, and is only like 90 minutes long.
Mhm.
And so you are in and out, but there's lots of intrigue. There's lots of great lighting in this movie, especially is something that I want to shout out. Yeah, fantastic time.
Yeah, I mean, it is just great all around. I have some minor notes in terms of things that I would have wanted maybe the movie to explore a little bit deeper because it is
Okay.
so quick that there are
It
just
is
some
quick.
things that we got to move on. We got to move on. This is the 90-minute. We're reaching the 90-minute mark. Let's just go.
Uh-huh.
But it also is one of the movie's great strengths that it is pared down in the best way. This is a very streamlined, very efficient spy thriller, erotic thriller movie. It has the tenor of something that could ramp up to action sequences and chases and more
Yeah.
explosions and things, but it never does. And that I think is what gives this movie its totally unique flavor. Is it is in operating in the world of espionage and hidden government details and things, but the movie's scope is pared back, and it gives us like this really tight and efficient spy thriller that only focuses on like the thriller and interpersonal like suspicion part.
There are essentially 6 characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett, and then 4 other SAS agents of varying department, who are all embroiled in this, this plot about around stealing Severus. Not stealing Severance, as I thought I said a couple times at the beginning of the movie. Who wouldn't want to get their hands on the hottest TV show at the moment?
We gotta find out what happens in the end of season 2.
That's exactly right. But no, Severus. It's a classic spy movie.
Goober.
MacGuffin. Yeah, exactly. That's like you plug it into a nuclear power plant and then the whole thing blows up or whatever.
Okay, I don't know. Okay.
Sure. But like it is more around the suspicion of. Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett play a married couple, and Cate Blanchett, we're sort of led to believe that could be embroiled in this. She could be a double agent, someone looking to steal this thing for nefarious means.
Yeah.
And so could the 4 other characters in this movie.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of the tension built around Michael Fassbender's interactions with them. He is sort of notorious in the SAS for his ability to weed out liars and things like that. He runs the lie detector tests and everything like that to try and determine who the mole is. And every interaction that he has with somebody has the weight of him trying to figure them out and him worrying that they are potentially figuring him out, putting him in danger, or most importantly, another theme that runs through this, his wife in danger. Though she is potentially a double agent, he still wants to protect her at all costs, as they say a couple times in the movie.
Yeah, because even though this movie is about information and about there is this larger political ramifications thing in the background.
International intrigue.
On a script level, the movie is much more concerned with the way in which distrust and holding back information within an organization like this creates tension interpersonally. What can they tell each other? What can't they tell each other? If they have to lie to someone they know that they are, in many cases in this movie, sleeping with in different permutations.
Yes.
how does that impact the way that they feel about one another? Do they trust one another if they have to hold this back? But they know they have to hold it back because they're all a part of this. And that I find really, really fascinating. And it brings up all of these interesting themes very closely intertwining, I guess, governmental or organizational secrecy and relationship secrecy.
Yes.
And infidelity, which is another thing this movie is very much about. And
It is
in a way that many movies like this don't really try to wade into.
Yeah,
It feels very thematically focused because it really is all about infidelity.
It really is. It's about loyalty is kind of the word that I took
true.
away from it. So just kind of different ways of framing it, but like loyalty to one's country, one's national.
You're a sex
purpose.
half full, I'm a sex half empty kind of guy.
Exactly. Loyalty to one's partner in life. That word comes up a number of times in the film. And yeah, it is. The characters are often are sleeping with one another, as can be the case in these international, espionage spy films.
Yeah.
There's something sexy and appealing to the genre that all of them have something like that to it in a level. But also this one is more fully about that because it forgoes, like you mentioned, action sequences, gadgets, etc., etc. It is more about the feeling somebody out in an intimate conversation where they could pull a gun on you at any moment, or jump your bones at any moment at the same time. The best scenes in this movie are just, again, two people talking. In a given thing, whether it be like the therapist's office or the dinner scenes or whatever. Those are where the strengths of the movie are, and they are just as intriguing and exciting as a scene where people are running around and shooting each other, if not more so.
Yeah, I would personally say more so because I'm very much a screenplay first guy, a character first guy, and I think this movie leans into character dynamics and personalities a lot better than most spy thriller movies do. I mean,
especially in the modern era.
Yeah, definitely.
Where we're just kind of like getting Gray Mans or whatever on Netflix.
That's true.
3 times a week.
Yeah. Or Ghosted,
Or Ghosteds, yes.
But even the well-received and popular espionage thriller movies, things like Mission Impossible and James Bond, are a lot less about their character work.
They're more about the set pieces.
Exactly. And so replacing, it doesn't replace, it actually just cuts out all of the like action parts and just gives you the quote-unquote in-between conversational parts. But that's really where I find the most intrigue, and this movie it really, really does nail that, especially with the fact that this is, it wasn't really clear from the marketing, but this is an ensemble film. There are 6 characters to pay attention to and to follow and to understand their dynamics, and I love the fact that we get this close to opening scene of this dinner party where we don't really know who everyone is and what their roles are or who trusts who and whatever. And it establishes so many little barbs and relationship dynamic elements that are then unspooled over the course of this very quick movie. And that felt like, it feels really efficient because it's like, okay, we establish everyone here, we spin them off into their own things, and we can like tie them all back together at the end. And that's just great screenwriting. And obviously, we praised David Koepp and Steven Soderbergh for a similar skill of their screenwriting in Presence. But I really liked that they structured the movie in that way because it puts a focus on the ensemble cast that, again, I wasn't expecting this movie to have. Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett are so forwarded in the marketing, and the movie is about their relationship at the end of the day. But Tanner, I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think they're the least interesting characters in the movie. And frankly, I think they were the one whose performances I was least impressed by. Because
well, maybe that's probably also just due to like Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, great actors. I'm expecting great work from them, and they hit those notes perfectly fine. But then you have some I'll say relative unknowns. Like we know the name Regé-Jean Page, obviously, and Naomi Harris. But then you have like Marissa Abella, who's kind of an up and coming star, and Tom Burke, who we obviously just saw in Furiosa last year. But they are not Fassbender and Blanchett, of course.
But I was very impressed by the way that they're actually able to very much go bar for bar with 2 of the generation's nominated, acclaimed actors. And I was not expecting that at all, and I was really excited to hear and learn what each of these characters were doing, and what how they tied into one another, and what they
I
knew, what who they
Yeah.
trusted.
I mean, I think it. I mean, they hold their own, obviously, which is very impressive in this film, and maybe something that we're also not used to because you think back on, obviously your ensembles of Mission Impossible have stayed the same over the course of many
Hmm.
decades, and they add new players in who are great.
Yeah.
But any other run-of-the-mill spy film, like the supporting cast is never ever up to snuff with
No.
whoever they cast
No.
in the lead. They are often meant to be most forgettable,
Yeah.
like suit characters playing very boring archetypes, for
Yeah.
example. Where in this one, no, they are fleshed out. They are given
Yeah.
depth. They're given intricacy. They are given twists and turns just the same
Yeah.
as, or maybe even more, definitely more so than like Michael and Kate are
Yeah.
given.
Well,
They are
Kate and
where the
George
intrigue.
Center. Catherine and George.
Sorry, Catherine and George. My
Yes.
mistake. Well, I was using actors' names because I was like, I knew Michael Fassbender as George, but I couldn't remember Kate's name
It's
because
because
it's just
it's just
it's the
Catherine.
same.
You make a great point about how fleshed out, especially that supporting cast feels, and I think that's where the distinction is for me. Is I like this movie a lot in its screenplay because of how human its characters feels. It's focusing on this theme of adult sex lives and
Hmm.
infidelity and loyalty and things, and that is present in the dynamic between Catherine and George, but the supporting cast, I think, feels a lot more genuine. They feel a lot more believable. They have a little bit more moments of jokes. They have a little bit
They
stronger
do.
personalities. Whereas, and I think this is just maybe a taste thing, Catherine and George are really buttoned down. They are
They
really
are.
by the numbers, like doing things by the book agents. And that's just less interesting to me. And frankly, I also think that they don't have the greatest chemistry together. And I think it's maybe because
Interesting.
we don't learn a lot about their relationship outside of the scope of this specific movie. And
Hmm.
so I was like, I just don't know if I believe that these characters love each other this much that, like, I'm willing to kill for you, I'm willing to lie for you, all these things. I'm like, you're saying this, but like they don't spend a lot of the movie together, and the scenes that they do, they're really like buttoned up, and like there's not a lot of like connection, I feel, between those characters, which is easily my biggest flaw of this. And because I didn't love them and their central dynamic, I think the movie loses a little bit of its heart for me.
Well, here's what I'll say on that front. I think it is Soderbergh and Koepp pointing to the messiness of the younger cast,
Sure. Oh, definitely.
being like a moving factor, moving the
Hmm.
needle for you. Like it's fun to see them fight about who they're cheating
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
with, at the dinner scenes or whatever, or say, I've got a side piece too, or something like that. But that's a very different type. It's the complete opposite of the relationship that is going on with George and Catherine. Uh, but what I think at the same time, perhaps what they're pointing to as well, is that yes, they are committed to one another and they have figured out how to have a quote unquote healthy relationship within the governmental structure, the very, underhanded black bag, so secret structure
Yeah.
of the SAS, that like a lot of the more human elements of their relationship may have been stripped away, where
Hmm.
they have
Oh,
just settled
sure.
into a groove of we love each other, we do anything for each other, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Like they are so focused on the fact that they must protect each other and that they do love
Yeah.
each other and that they would do anything for each other, that perhaps they don't have the outsized romantic gestures that they would
Yeah.
anymore.
No, that's a
Be-
good point.
because the government structure, the espionage world that they've lived in for years and years has stripped that away.
Yeah. It
Many
forces
characters
them
have
to
spaced.
act a certain way in order to keep the
Yeah,
relationship alive. That
exactly.
is, I think, a very fair reading. I don't think it really solves the problem. Is I still don't think they're as interesting as everyone else, just because
Not
they
fair.
are like they just feel more straightforward. But that is, I think, probably the intended reading
Yeah,
of it.
because everyone else is like cheating on each other, and that's not what these characters are meant
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, yeah.
True.
Great stuff all around. I want to mention the lighting in this movie is fucking beautiful, dude. Especially as a common complaint amongst modern blockbusters, especially, are that the lighting is unintentional or feels a little bit slapdash together in order to make things look samey, so the things are easier in production and in the edit and everything like that. We've talked about this a number of times. I remember most recently it came up on our Wicked review
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Quest.
Hmm.
Whereas you juxtapose that with this one, and the lighting is so fucking intentional, man. It's so
Mm.
great. I mean, it's a lot of like in-scene stuff, lamps and windows and whatnot and so forth. And it's not like a brightly lit movie. There's obviously a lot of people hidden in silhouettes and shadows, but those silhouettes and shadows are made very intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
We are staging these things. Hey, would you know it? Steven Soderbergh is a good director and
Yeah.
knows how to move his actors and create a set in which they can move around and still be seen effectively and evocatively with the lighting on screen. And also, it has this look where like the lights will bloom out quite a bit,
Yeah.
whether they be in the foreground or in the background. But it's never a situation like again I'm talking about in Wicked, where like the light in the background is maybe like swallowing up the set or swallowing up background actors. It is very controlled and well intentioned in that way. So yeah, I just love the look of this film. I have since I saw the trailer, where I was like,
Sure.
this looks different. It looks like there is like some Vaseline on the lens or something going on
Mm-hmm.
here, where we are really making things glow and pop.
Yeah, it is a great looking movie, and for me, I don't I don't recall liking or disliking the lighting in any particular way, but for me, it was the set design, the production design
Yeah,
that
yeah.
really made things sing, because it has this really weird style that is bright blacks and whites and then wood grain and so
Oh yeah.
it's like these three dominant visual motifs pervade basically all the sets that the characters end up visiting.
Hmm.
We spend a lot of time in Catherine and George's house, which is exactly that. It's like it's this weird mix of like wood grain cozy home feel and like hyper modern, very sterile. And then
Yeah,
there's also
it's.
this tree. Why is there this tree in their house and this glass
I
box?
think
I don't know, but it's cool.
I think what Soderbergh is going for here is really like a 70s kind of feel. He's maybe trying to
Sure. Oh
harken
yeah.
back to like the birth of like the modern espionage genre with like James Bond in the 60s and
Sure.
70s
Yeah.
with the set design here. And
And the
also,
office is
making
also played with this exact same color palette, which I think is
exactly,
funny.
exactly.
So it does
Um,
ultimately end up meaning that once you are established in your mind that this is what their office looks like, there's like, well, they're always at work because their home kind of looks like
yeah,
it
they're
too.
very good, very good. But no, yeah, I think that's exactly it. Because even the film's score at certain points has a sort of like
Dude!
funky groove to it at
Yeah.
times. You're like, okay, we're settling into something a little bit more, classy is really the word that
Oh,
comes to mind with
absolutely.
a
Yeah.
number of things here. It is not sterile government buildings or whatever. There is character to everything in this
Yeah.
film, whether it be the production design, the lighting, the costuming, the everything.
Yeah. And you mentioned the score. Oh, I was blown away by the score.
Yeah.
I
Oh
loved
yeah.
it. It's such a different tone for a spy movie because
Hmm.
it's like an improvised jazz score. And I think it might
And here's my
literally
thing.
be. It's like
Mm.
it's like soft snares and then like a string bass dum dum
Mm.
dum dum. It's like, whoa. This like
With
sets
that
a
kind
totally
of
unique
thing
vibe.
too, like you would so often, if you have that for like a period set spy film, it would be sort of like a wink wink nudge nudge about like the tone and the setting of the film, something like the man from Uncle, which I liked a
Oh,
lot from
sure.
like 2015,
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, we're kind of doing like the thing from when the TV show was set. We're like in the 70s.
Yeah.
Listen to this score, look at these costumes, look at these cars. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Okay, you guys did a great job, Matthew Vaughn. Good thumbs up. But Steven Soderbergh is just presenting it as is. He's presenting it on a silver platter for you. It's like, look at this very sumptuous world I have constructed for
Yeah.
you. Spend 90 minutes in it, have a great time, then you're out the door.
If you dare.
If you dare. Ooh.
The last thing I want to talk about is this interesting recurring motif. And again, I want to talk about this movie's efficiency and praise its efficiency
Yep.
because I do feel like everything is, at the end of the day, circles back to this theme and concept of marital or relationship infidelity and loyalty. And then there's also this motif of fishing that continues to be
Yes.
brought back that I
Well,
thought was
yes,
so
that
funny.
is that's
Um,
a good little metaphor, yeah.
it's a good metaphor, but it's very in the nose. But I wrote down a couple lines that I thought were funny.
Uh,
I forgive me. I saw this movie 2 days ago, so I can't remember exactly what these scenes were or like what was happening in these scenes. But they're talking about fishing. Just after they're George is trying to catch Catherine doing something, and
Yep.
they say someone says a line of, "Is it a difficult catch?" And he says, "Next to impossible." I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
fucking movie, you. And then there's this
It's
other
cute,
one,
it's cute.
when when Regé Jean Page is on the boat with George, and he gets a bite on his line, and he says, "What do I do with it?" And George says, "Let him run for a while."
Let him run.
And I'm like, you fucking guy. And then there's Pierce Brosnan sitting in the thing, and he's eating a fish while it's still alive. Whoa! Because it's a live catch.
Alive.
Yeah.
That's illegal in England or whatever. Whatever Cate Blanchett says.
Yeah, but I just thought that was funny. I mean, it is relatively ham-fisted for this movie, but it's clever enough. And again, it's efficient. There's not like superfluous plot lines. There's not all this stuff going on. They're like, okay, I will say there is like this Severus thing, and there are like these miscellaneous Eastern European villains, whatever.
Oh, Russian guys.
They're so sucked in. Like the movie doesn't pay attention to them at all, but you need to have that to like add the context for why the stuff is happening. I actually will say one quick last thing about a little bit of a critique. Because this movie's so quick and doesn't give us a lot of setup for these characters, I'm not really sure at any given point what clearance or abilities or knowledge any of our cast members are actually supposed to have. Because honest to God, especially Catherine and George, they just do things. I'm like, is there no oversight on this? How did you possibly make this happen? Like, aren't you supposed to go through like bosses and layers to make like checks and balances to make this stuff happen? The movie does not care about it at all. They're just like, like give all the information to them and they can just do
They're like the most senior of senior spies at the SAS, I suppose. And there's like the moment where Pierce Brosnan's like, security level clearance 6 and lower, clear out or whatever.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Then there's the one Marissa Abella who's like a drone pilot or like footage reviewer or something. She's one of the people who can tap into satellites.
Yeah,
and she's like, well, how deep in the program is she or something?
I don't know.
And like Regé Jean Page is just like fresh faced guy with a gun. He'll kill people for you if you want kind of guy. But anyway, no, great time. Tucker, I loved it. I'm gonna go a 8.3 out of 10.
8.3. I'll go 8.1 out of 10. I think this is a great movie. I mean, I'm sure it's one that will grow on me over time because it does feel fresh. It does feel distinct. And obviously, it has to be noted, with 2 new movies back to back in 2025, no one's doing it like Steven Soderbergh.
No one is.
And honestly, Tanner, 2 of his best movies, I think. I've seen 15 of his movies, and I think these are 2 of his strongest.
I would say, they're both.
The Soderssance is upon us.
They're both top 10 for me. I think, both maybe top 5 as well. We'll see.
Sure.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for watching our review of Black Bag. If you agreed or disagreed with our thoughts, feel free to leave them in the comments. And though I didn't mention at the beginning, we do have a Discord server that you can join to talk directly to us about this movie, or maybe even other Steven Soderbergh movies. Of course, we celebrate Soderbergh Saturday every week.
That's right.
Every week. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.